So, welcome to today's Econelastic video. It's just another news one for you today. It's probably just going to be a short one. We saw a few news articles, and we just wanted to kind of touch on what they meant and our sort of take on them. So, the news article or the headline that you might have seen going around on several different platforms is UK growth, GDP growth is expected to outpace US growth. And we thought, why is that? So we sort of delved into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So obviously the headline figure there's a few different ones. I think generally the one we read was it's forecast for 7.8% GDP growth this year in the UK, that is. And obviously the reasons for that being the high levels of saving during the lockdown, the successful vaccination rollout for the UK so far, and obviously the easing of restrictions. But we're going to sort of talk about why the figures can be a little bit misleading.
Yeah, so we first saw this article on Reuters, and it came out by Goldman Sachs, but it was published on then Reuters and BBC News and various other ones that Andrew said. And then there are little differences in numbers, but the headline, when it says the UK is going to outgrow the US, we think this was a good video to do because it shows you the clickbait
nature of those sort of news stories.
Yeah, it's not being dishonest because it's true.
But the reason it's true is because the UK economy shrank by so much more than the US economy. So we're comparing our figures against our GDP last year, where the economy shrank by nearly 10%. I think, depending on who you read, it was 9.8% or 9.9%, which was a huge drop, obviously. Whereas the US economy only dropped by 3.5%. So obviously the bounce back is going to look like we're recovering that much faster. I
mean, even the fact that the US is, I believe, over from where they started from the coronavirus pandemic. So it means that GDP is.
Are they? They're actually already beyond their pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah. Whereas the UK isn't. So again, it's like we're growing, but we're not really. We're
growing, but we're still lower than we were before. So while we might be outpacing the US in growth, we're still not back to pre-pandemic levels. So and that's because we had such a large drop compared to the US.
Yeah. So again, the headline isn't dishonest; it's true, but I still have an issue with sort of headlines like that because they're short and snappy, and they're meant to design. Because remember, these are businesses, so the more clicks they get, the more ad revenue they get.
Yeah.
So headlines like that.
Something we might go into a little bit more, isn't it? Like a sort of a news article from what would you call a left-wing perspective, and then there's the exact same news article from a right-wing perspective. Is something we might go into a bit more in the future, and you can see the differences in the same news, in the same piece of news, the way it's spun from different angles, and that's what you've got to keep an open mind about and take things with a pinch of salt always.
Yeah, and delve into the articles and what they actually say, and then form your own opinion. And also, the best thing to do is then go and look at the data yourself. So not only just look at the articles, go and then look at UK GDP. What's the US GDP? Well, as soon as if you look at both of them graphs, as soon as you see, well, okay, but the drop in the UK GDP is much more than the US GDP. So you don't even have to go and read anything. Just have one look at that article and then go, well, let's look at the data myself. And then you'll go, hang on a minute, doesn't actually look quite right to compare to what the article's headline is saying, at least anyway.
So I suppose some of the reasons though behind it, this is probably fairly obvious, you've heard them. Almost half of the UK population is now had at least one jab. So that vaccine rollout is going very successfully in the UK. The deaths are down by, I think, 97%, according to some ONS data from that sort of January peak in the UK. And also, like, the amount of people in hospital linked to coronavirus has fallen to about 4% of that January peak. So the sort of pandemic sort of health impact has obviously subsided a lot since that peak in January. And then you've got things like the furlough scheme being extended out into the autumn. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, the US haven't extended furlough scheme that far, which again, it skews unemployment figures, because people in the UK who would otherwise be unemployed, was it not for the furlough scheme, makes the unemployment rate look lower for the UK, which, you know, skews the figures somewhat. But one firm anyway, Ernst & Young, EY they're called, think that the UK is on track to return to its pre-pandemic levels by the second quarter of 2022. We'll see how that goes, providing all the signs that are positive at the moment. That's probably quite likely, isn't it? But like you said, Joe, if that's right, if the US is already beyond its pre-pandemic levels, and they're, in a sense, are they not doing better than the UK already?
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see what policies the UK bring in the future, because I know a couple of articles that we looked at, I think one even said about, you know, the rise in tax, if they decide to raise tax to pay for what's all the furlough and stuff like that. Well, you don't need a crystal ball to say that would decrease growth in this country. Be a bad decision. More tax means less jobs, because employers can't afford to do it. So
less incentive to go out and earn more, isn't it, for a lot of people, and for especially if you raise corporate taxes, which, you know, people always call for, but the trickle down effect of that is less jobs for the working person.
Yeah, exactly. So and then there's also all the things like inflation and stuff, expectations, which we sort of done another video, but that was linked to the US, which
we'll probably cover that again when a little bit more data comes out and we see how things go in the next few months. So we hope you enjoyed that one anyway. It's just a short and sweet one, just on that sort of headline and what we sort of read into it and how we sort of picked it apart a little bit. So if you have any questions, do leave them in the comment section below. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll hope to see you in the next one.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
So I